All right, that's all the time that we have for the show for today. It's been a great show. Thank you. It's great working with your team.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much,
distinct pleasure.
And honor.
And honor.
And distinction. I don't know.
Distinction, I already used distinction.
All right, fair enough.
It was good. It was good. Don't miss out on Lead Story later today at 6:30 in the evening with Andrew Laidley, of course. All right.
And that's all the time. I'm so sad that that's all the time that we have for today's Sunrisers. Of course, though, if you missed anything or you just want to rewatch your favorite segments, we've got you covered at cvmtv.com. And for all the stuff in between, we're on Instagram at Sunrise CVM and at CVM_television.
All right, the Roundtable Squad takes over after this.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Nathan, and joining me at the table this morning is my wonderful, beautiful, always herself, co-host, Shelley, and a very special guest is reporter and producer here at CVM Television, Ramon Gordon. Welcome to the Roundtable, Ramon.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a short week so far. How was Monday for you guys?
We didn't know yet about short week, because Monday felt like it was about 4 days.
It's been a long week.
A long week.
It was very heavy, yes.
Really? Lots going on, Nathan.
And so it's a packed June already.
Life is lifing.
I like that. Life is life, and it's a good thing, though.
Yes.
Like
Sometimes.
No, man. Life. If you have life, you have everything. Whether good or bad, you can always make tomorrow a better day.
Well, you know what? That is true, and I'm going to adapt that life today. And I want to say good morning to everybody tuning in this morning. Yes, I know we started out with an omelette, but it became a scramble. But know yourself, I say it goes. Sometimes you start off with a plan, and the plan don't work out exactly. You just turn your hand and make fashion. We're Jamaicans. That's how we do it.
I love it. I love it. Well, you know what time it is. It is now time for our social buzz.
Oh, yes.
I remember seeing that video. I don't know why this video never played, but yeah, man, you saw that how...
Oh, the dancing casket?
Yeah, man.
Well, you know, I realized that people have been getting very creative in sending off their loved ones. So I have no judgment, you know, because I have some mad relatives. They might want to do something creative with me too. So
well, you are from St. Mary, and I did see a popular trend now where they're putting up life-size photos of people by their...
That's terrifying. Are you crazy? Can you imagine seeing that at night? That is insanity. When I hope they send me off, I hope they put me in the ground and then plant a tree over me. That's what I want.
So that can still be terrifying? I'm just saying.
Well, you know, personally, I don't have any requirements in this life and in this particular thing. I just focus on living, and y'all focus on the rest afterwards.
Yeah, man, I agree with you.
I don't have any demands here.
My death is your problem. I'm God. Do what you want with me. I'm great, all right? But, you know, I do think I see something hot coming. So let's definitely see what's out. I heard that there's a hot topic today. I don't know what it is.
Usually
wink,
a hot
wink.
topic.
Wink, wink. Well, this one is definitely hot.
Yes.
The case of cartel.
Yes.
Phenomenon. So you know that there's been a lot of talk lately about a particular dancehall artist here in Jamaica who was arrested, tried, convicted, and then his conviction
Lad, man, Nathan, just say Vybz Kartel.
No, man, we have to give the context. Ramon is here as a reporter. He wants the full context.
Okay.
Now, first and foremost, what are your views on what has been now, 8 years of...
Well, I've not been following it for 8 years, so I don't have any views on the 8 years. I've just been catching the highlights. And honestly, I'm learning a lot about the court system because the ruling from the Privy Council made me pause because I didn't realize that, you know, there was a thing where the thing could be, what they said, it wasn't vacated. What's the term? Give me the term.
Quashed.
Quashed, yes. Quashed. So I learned quashed. That was
different
a new
from
term.
Vacated.
Correct. And so for me, I'm just sort of paying attention to how it unfolds. Honestly, if I was to make predictions, I would have been wrong from the start. So, you know, I give up on that completely.
But let me start by saying it this way. You know, there is a citizen, an individual, Adija Palmer.
Yes.
And there is an artist,
yeah, man,
Vybz Kartel. Now, what do you just think of overall, like the following that has been happening with this whole cartel case? Do you think it's well earned? Do you think it's a part of the...
Cartel is a very unique case study, I think, because I think he embodies what Jamaica is He came from a very poor community. He went out, he did his thing, he rose to prominence, he got influential, and he became successful. And for a lot of Jamaicans, they look up to him. But the system, they see it as, they're trying to tear him down. That's what's happening now. But Kartel is talented, he is bright, but he's also dark. He's convicted of murder. Is that not Jamaica? Jamaica is so beautiful. We're culturally vibrant. We're a brilliant people. But there's also a sinister darkness that lingers. So it's very relatable. Well, Kartel is relatable, no?
Rama just makes it sound almost poetic.
So like, I was just about to say.
Kartel is relatable.
But then let me ask then, so do you think that it's probably just the media? Do you think that the media and the PR around the artists?
Well, the media adds to it. The media adds to it, and I think that part of the challenge that we have in looking at this whole thing in a sort of objective way is because the different media outlets have their biases, and so you're not just getting the facts, you're getting the facts according to that outlet. But personally, I'm the lousiest fan in the world, so any artist of me like, I normally just like the art and really don't care about the artist. So personally, if I was to look at Vybz Kartel's art, I'm a fan of some of his art. And so, you know, I normally would have experienced him through his art. Now, this case has forced me to look beyond the art and look at the artist, but I don't know if everything that I'm seeing in the media is enough information. I think there's a whole heap of information that we don't know. And so for me, I'm still sort of looking with one eye because there are still some things that I'm not clear on. And that's why I talk about learning the law, because the way the law handles a lot of the uncertainty is still very new to me. And so I'm just trying to make sense of all of it as it unfolds.
So then let me say this, and I can ask Ramon. We talked about the media sensationalism, we're talking about, you said, the power of the music because he's talented.
Yeah.
So do you think that it's been a dual role? Because for me, I can say it, love Kartel music. I think his music enriched Jamaica at a time where we had been transitioning from an old school kind of dancehall vibe to this new sound, this new approach. But the power of the music also brought us to a place where we were seeing people putting on cakes up on their face, we see the rising. So do we think that the media really aided, or was it just the power of his own music and his talent that brought him to where he is today, where people are lining up at a courthouse, bawling, because him don't get him habeas corpus appeal to go through?
I needed to remember that Kartel was huge before social media, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
This man was drawing crowds before that. Kartel is popular because of the people.
Yeah.
That's why he's so powerful. That's why he can possibly be so dangerous as well.
Yeah.
So when we're having a conversation about Kartel, it's far bigger than the media, because without the media, he'd likely thrive. Still, I think. Controversial take, but true.
Okay.
No, I don't disagree with that, because the media don't just cover things because they're there to cover. They cover him because he's newsworthy.
Right.
And there was something for him to cover. He's quite entertaining, and he did all the things. He didn't hide from a lot of things that persons would have hidden from before him. And one of the things that I actually liked about him as an artist is the fact that he was very well read. And I don't know if you noticed that about him, but he's very articulate. He's actually very smart. But I think that the fact that he's so smart makes you want to think, how calculated is he? Does he really recognize that he has this sort of power? And is he sitting somewhere sinister and planning to wield this power to control the masses? Because some people talk about him like that. They're like, oh, well, you know, he knows that what he does has this type of influence and he does it on purpose. So is that really the case?
You know, but let me say it this way. I think he does it on purpose. I think so? Everybody who's influential does what they do on purpose. So let's use politics. Let's use that kind of angle. We had probably our most popular prime minister a few years ago in Portia Simpson Miller, who was not just a politician for most people, because she had a moniker, Mama P. And when you think about the kind of influence that she wielded as an individual, because you saw people who you thought from their walks of life, they wouldn't dabble with somebody like Portia. They did. And I think what we're recognizing separately is that we've never really had an artist like Kartel, in my estimation. We've had popular artists, but we've never had artists that were moving products off the shelf. We've never had an artist that was causing children in school to behave in a particular manner, absolutely different from how they were just a few months ago. So I think what we saw was a music icon, if we want to use that term, recognizing his value, recognizing his power, and going, wait, let me check. Let me say this saying and see how many people take it on. And when they did, I have something here. And for me, one of the things I'll always go back to and saying, it's not necessarily the power of the music. It's the power of the person, the power of the influence.
Yeah, but the things that you spoke about in terms of influence could also be spun as his business acumen. He was a good businessman. I mean, I don't remember if you remember Street Vibes Rum?
Yeah.
Like, he took a rum in Jamaica where rum is very popular, and Jamaica has its own brand of very popular rums, and he was a main competitor in the market, even against some of the more, you know, longer rums that have been in the business for many, many years. And he was able to control a segment of the market, which was unheard of. So is it a case of, you know, he was just this sinister character wielding his power, or was he just a good businessman?
Let me tell you, Kartel, very simply, is a great storyteller. So many things have been started with a very simple story, and he speaks directly to the people.
Yes.
He speaks about sex, and he speaks about drugs, and he speaks about family. He speaks about experiences, and these things resonate with very real Jamaicans, and he gets to them in a way they understand. And that's why he's so influential. I don't think there is this sinister intent behind it. I don't think he's sitting behind a table thinking, and as he's penning Fever, XOXO, I'm going to control the masses.
What are you doing today, Brain?
No, you know, Kartel is speaking.
Fever was trying to...
No, but I think Fever was trying to get me to do something. I don't know if it was, you know, that.
Oh, well.
But, you know, Kartel is, I don't know, he's a great orator.
Yeah.
Well, I can attest to that. Set good like an ice.
Real.
Hey,
Today.
this is morning TV.
Real.
Hey,
Real.
Hey.
I just spoke about ice and freezers. I don't know what's your problem. I'm just...
Oh, you never said what was said like the ice in the freezer.
lyrics.
I think you're talking about me, but let's go.
Lyrics
Let's go.
are lyrics.
Yeah.
And love him or hate him, you have to recognize that in terms of the culture, he's actually a very influential figure in the culture. And there are a lot of persons who hate him for that. And so is it that, you know, a lot of what persons have an issue with him? I mean, you know, the case is there. And like I said to you, I am still watching to see what unfolds out of this, because the truth is, when the case initially came up, I was watching some of the details. And, you know, as a fan of Law and Order, SVU, and them other show, that's the extent of my legal expertise.
Which makes a big lawyer in Jamaica.
Exactly.
Big lawyer.
I was actually surprised that he was convicted based on the evidence that was presented and even the treatment of the evidence that was presented. But the law knows better than me, because as me said, me's a TV liar.
He's not legal luminaries.
Nothing about these things.
We are not legal luminaries. I don't want anybody watching to think, nope, we are not trying to talk legalese here. Thank you very much.
But all I'm saying is, when it comes to the art, and that is where I can talk about the art, I think that he really has such a catalogue of work that people can throw a party with. They remember the party that they used to
Yes.
Simply Cartel party?
Yes.
Name me two other artists where you can do that with. I'll wait.
Berries. Bob. I'm just joking. But let me ask a question then. We are now still living in a new age, even from where he started as an artist. Do you think that social media has helped to heighten not just the sensation around the artist, but also even the case?
Oh, for sure. I mean, what social media did was brought everything in your face 24 hours. So even if you're not just getting it from one news outlet, there are so many people talking about it that you can actually binge watch all things Vybz Kartel and go down the rabbit hole and have a good social media time. So, of course.
Yeah, and you know, and the reason I ask that is, I think one of the things that we're having as an experience now is that you're hit with all of this information.
Yes.
And I mean, Raman as a reporter can give you like the insights, because you work on several media. You're looking from a wide spectrum. But you're learning so much more about this case than if this were during the time of the last famous trial that we had in Jamaica. I won't name what that is. But can you imagine that in this day and age that we're living in, everybody's become a lawyer. Everybody is there sitting down adjudicating.
TV lawyers and social media lawyers.
And we have to be careful with that as well, because a lot of the articles, you know, leading up to the hearing that happened, however long ago it happened, was like, it's a bail application. It wasn't a bail application, and people were like, God, Kartel going up for bail. It was a right of habeas corpus, and that's a completely different thing that I won't explain. But the way we talk about things in the media sometimes may mislead people and may lead them to do things that are not, you know, appropriate. Because there were police at the courthouse for a civil hearing. The appellant does not show up to court for a civil hearing, but persons thought, because of reports in the media, that he was going to be there. So we have to be careful.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So then I go back to just a simple point then. Do you think it's just the media, through a deliberate approach, trying to sensationalize to get more people watching? Do we think it's deliberate around cartel?
All the time, I don't think it's deliberate. All the time. Are there deliberate instances of sensationalism? Absolutely. But a lot of the times, especially when we're talking about the legalese, there are inaccuracies because, well, a lot of the reporters aren't legal pundits.
Okay, understood.
And that's fair.
Right, so sometimes a misinterpretation.
Yeah, and that happens.
Which is fair, which is fair. And you know, for me, loving this debate, I think there's a lot more for us to unwrap when we come back right after the break. Welcome back to the round table. This morning, the topic is the case of cartel, the phenomenon. And we've been unpacking a lot of what has been said, especially around the case.
Right.
But I wanted to now talk a little bit more specific. I have a perception. Let me start it that way. I have a perception that person's notion of his guilt or his innocence has nothing to do with the evidence and has everything to do with where we sit in life. Or station or race or identity of who we are as a people.
Oh, I'd love for you to explain that.
So I think that when you look at the support that went down to court for a civil case that the man was not going to be present at, I did not see anybody that sits from a particular part of St. Andrew or Kingston.
St. Andrew?
Well, maybe St. Andrew. Do we believe that there is, at least by his case, a revealing of some of that culture and race identity issue that we have in it, especially how people look at the fact of him being innocent or guilty?
Yeah, but I think there might be something to what you're saying in terms of, you know, who is out there in the audience, you know, down by the courthouse supporting him. But it doesn't mean that some of the folks, you know, from the location that you said, don't support him either. It just means that maybe them there work. Maybe, you know, them have things to do, you know, that they can't spend them whole afternoon down a courthouse with placard, you know.
And if they could, they would.
And if they could, they would. They support him for supporting it in the spirit. But I think also that this is not just a cartel thing. If you think of a lot of, you know, similar cultural figures, whenever they find themselves in trouble with the law, Tupac, for example, comes to mind. I think there's a lot of similarities between cartel and Tupac in terms of, I think they're both very brilliant, but they're also self-destructive. And what I mean when I say that is that, you know, we know that in terms of the talent, there's no disparity there. He's obviously an astute businessman. He's obviously capable of a lot more, but he makes some choices that would cause him to be in the challenge, having the challenges that he is, certainly with this case. So I just think that, you know, as a human being, they are layered. And as fans of these human beings, sometimes we have a problem seeing the dark of the person, and that's, you know, the potential truth. But like Raman so eloquently say, you know, there is a darkness there, and love it or hate it, that's just a part of what we are talking about, and that's a part of the being that we're talking about.
I keep telling you, cartel is a cultural phenomenon, you know? He represents, for Jamaicans, the dream. He came from a very poor community. He worked very, very hard, became very, very famous, and then the system is trying to take him down. That's the general perception. That's the story. Cartel is and you have to remember, in the broader context of things, you know, Jamaica is very, very violent. We have a lot of murders. So people are looking at it like they're trying to hold him down for a murder that they can't even prove he did. Do you understand? It's a much larger conversation to be had.
And do we see murder and not crime like that in the way that the system may see? Because I mean, I'll go to a place and say, when you're talking about the kind of following that you'd get, it reminds me of following that I've seen at court for certain men of particular prominence in certain communities that are accused of certain activities in one state. And when you think about it, that's a part of our culture and our society.
Yes.
We do hug up, if you want to use the word criminality, but it's the dark. It's that dark part of our culture. And for us, we do see them as Robin Hood. We do see them as men who are fighting against a structure, fighting against a system. And for me, that ties back to our next question. Should we then be skeptical of the legal system? Because we feel that somehow, no matter what, it had to be the white man who quashed the conviction. Should we be skeptical about what we're doing in our own?
Well, I have an even bigger question. Right now, we're talking about, you know, leaving the monarchy completely and having our own courts. And there are lots of Jamaicans who feel that doing that is actually going to leave us vulnerable, especially the persons who may not be able to hire the expensive lawyer to defend them, leave them vulnerable because they don't have an objective party to actually look at their case objectively, because they see the bias that is being showed in this case, or the perceived bias that has been shown in this case. So a part of the bigger conversation you mentioned, Ramon, is the fact that the justice system sometimes can look biased, and it should be an unbiased system.
Yeah. I think we should always be skeptical. That's my philosophy. I don't believe anything. Anything can be proven and disproven a
Question
thousand
everything.
times.
I'm there with you.
That's how we build this.
Wow, thank you, Ramon. It's the skepticism that got us. You're like
But we should also be honest, you know?
Okay.
The justice system in this case can appear biased. I'm choosing my words very carefully. Can appear very biased. Yes? But there also is evidence that points to him possibly committing the crime that he's convicted for. So we can be skeptical of a system, but still be honest in light of the fact. And I think that's very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and for me, as you had put it eloquently before, it's a fascinating case study of when the system and the culture meet head on.
Yes.
Because for me, what I see every day that people have conversations around Vybz Kartel is that it mostly never has anything to do with the actual facts and evidence of the case.
Right.
It's your perception of the man, your perception of the system, your perception of his influence. And for me, that is the quintessential definition of this new age that we live in. We're seeing Jamaica's transformation culturally because our Don is taking on a whole new life. And he went to the Privy Council. He got the big man to say, hey, something now work here. And for many of us, we're actually using this as a broader case study as to should I trust the system.
No, and a lot of people felt vindicated.
But you can't blame them. Why? Because at the end of the day, how it was presented, if you listen to the summary, there are several elements that were questionable. But in fact, having this one tainted juror should have been enough.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm not a lawyer, but when I heard all of that, the first thing came back to me was, you're telling me our judges never knew that? That's how I felt. But then I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But, you know, there's a lot more to unpack with our final thoughts when we come back from the break. Come back, guys. Thanks for staying with us. And you know, time flies when good things are happening and we're having all the fun in the break. But we do want to share with you what our final thoughts are on the topic. Ramon, them say Vybz Kartel, the phenom.
You can enjoy the music. Where do I look? This camera, fantastic. Enjoy the music. But then remember where it's coming from. Remember the influence. Art can be dark, but it can also be very inspiring. And I think that Vybz Kartel, as controversial as he is, can be a very inspiring figure if you ignore even momentarily what he's been accused of. So, yeah, that's that.
Shelley?
Well, I'm still trying to work out the summertime song that Kartel did many, many years ago is still one of the baddest summertime song in 2024.
It's like you feel ready for some of those.
It's summertime. Anyhow, Vybz Kartel is a phenomenon, and I just think that, you know, paying attention to this case, I think is a great lesson for us to all, you know, just kind of pay attention and see how it rolls out, how it plays out, because as Jamaicans, it is in our interest for our justice system to work for everybody. And, you know, for the persons who are concerned that there's some bias here, hopefully you are proven wrong in the results of this case.
All right, and you know, I would not be fair if I actually left this table. I did not ask them the simple question. Ramon and Shelley, come June 10, I believe it is, Ramon, you can't remember. Come June 10, there's a decision to be made. In what angle do you expect the decision to be made? Ramon, do you want to go first here again?
I expect justice to be done. That is it.
Reporter's answer. Shelley, I know you're not afraid. What do you think I got?
I'm not afraid either, but me believe that justice will be done.
No, come on, man. Let us be factual at this table.
What? All right, so you're asking what I think would be done?
Yes.
Okay, I think justice will be served, but what I am concerned about is if it is that they decide to go ahead and retry this entire thing and retry the entire case, I don't know if we can afford it, and I don't know if the result that they expect to come off it will come off it, or if it will have very negative results in the other side. I think the latter might be true.
Okay, I like that. So I will just simply state that for me, I will always continue to enjoy the music. The same way I can enjoy the music of other persons overseas, like R. Kelly, like many others who find the music, art. No, man. Music, art. Just like how we can enjoy people for the things that they've contributed to this world, we also have to remember that we have a duty bound to ourselves to be informed, to not show up at court for a civil case expecting to see somebody standing outside. We should all appreciate the artist for the man that he is. We should appreciate the fact that he's brought to the table something that has helped to engender and build on our country, for me, because he's given us something good. And I ultimately want to say, free up the rest of your Tuesday and have some fun. That's a wrap for the round table. Thank you to our guest, Ramon Gordon, reporter and producer here at CVM, for bringing some insightful